What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Perry Mason Season 2 on HBO, starring Matthew Rhys. Of course, the Perry Mason reboot that we got almost 3 years ago at this point in 2020 on HBO. The show is back for Season 2. New showrunners in the fold. Most of the core ensemble cast is back. And yeah, I think this is it's not on the top of the list of anyone's favorite HBO show, but I thought it was actually pretty solid debut season for a reboot when we got it in 2020. Maybe that was the pandemic afforded me to really pay attention to this show in terms of having things to do. But having the show come back after such long time away, I was surprised how well I feel like I fit right back into the fabric of the show. And I think a key reason for this is the way Perry Mason season 1 ended. It was like Perry actually becoming a lawyer, like the famous Perry Mason of old was. Season 1 is really the origin story of Perry Mason when he starts out as a private eye. But now we're actually in the courtroom, and Perry is actually a lawyer. And I think that is just going to lend itself to more dramatic, fun set pieces as far as legal dramas go. And I really hope they commit to that. The one thing that's giving me a bit of pause with Perry Mason season 2 so far, through one episode of 8, is that Perry seems a bit like down in the dumps and having some guilt and perhaps like PTSD over like how season 1 ended in terms of like the past, how that affected his career and his life. And I would actually love Perry to be a bit less of like a sourpuss, and he'd probably be more fun of a show. So we'll hope that doesn't get in the way too much. Ultimately, though, I think it's a pretty fun ensemble for a show, and of course, it's a period show set in the 1930s. I think it looks really good, it communicates that well. But you have Juliet Rylance as Della, and you have Chris Chalk as Paul. And it seems through one episode that they are going to also have their own storylines independent of Perry, which I think is paramount to this show working, is kind of fleshing out that ensemble. Of course, Shea Wiggum is back. You have Paul Raci, seemingly a new character, as a more villainous character. Catherine Watterson will be in this season in episodes to come. You have Justin Kirk as the DA. I think he's a great character in his relationship. With Della is, I think, quite strong. So there's a lot of components to Perry Mason season 2 that I like, and I think it's just kind of a question of how dramatic and how invested you get in like that story. Paul Raci seems to be quite villainous. I'm hoping that is engaging. Of course, his son Brooks, total scumbag. We learn in episode 1 he gets killed at the end of episode 1. So I hope the through line of like the villainy sticks around, because season 1, I think the plot in terms of like the bad guys, quote unquote, maybe was a bit up and down, but what you did have was Tatiana Maslany's kind of like radio preacher character with this really big performance, because we know how talented Maslany is. That was quite engaging. So hopefully that void is filled, perhaps seemingly in a different way this time around in season 2. But I hope it's like engaging enough in terms of like a central story, because I need Perry to I think kind of propel stuff forward. It doesn't seem like he's ready to do that as a character in the beginning of the season. We'll see what happens. You know, Other than that, like I don't know, like the opening, shot, you have this opening oneer tracking shot's pretty solid. Like I said, I think it looks pretty good. It's really effective as like a period setting. HBO definitely didn't spare any uh expense with this, which is great. But yeah. Do you have any like notes about it? Like let me know. Like for me, the Perry Demons are a wait and see thing, but I'm really happy about how the rest of the ensemble's going. And yeah, we'll see. I think this is a show that this is probably a make or break season for it. Took a while for this show to come back. You have to imagine this is a show that Warner Brothers Discovery, the way they've been moving these days, they probably will lean on HBO to perhaps cancel this show unless it's like really well received. I don't see this as a big ratings hit. It's coming out on Mondays, with The Last of Us ending and Succession about to begin. So I have a feeling this will probably slip through the cracks a little bit, given how long it's been, and people probably won't have a willingness to catch up on it. So this might be the last go around, and even if it is, I think it was still a worthwhile effort. I'm happy I've watched it thus far, and I'm definitely going to finish this season. But let me know how you feeling about Perry Mason season 2 thus far. And for more HBO, more TV reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.